4 or 5 years, I financed my sister while she laughed and said, "He was born a loser and will die a loser." When I found out, I didn't say anything. Month later, when she came asking for help. For 5 years, I gave everything to my sister Lisa. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. It's just who I am. I became a doctor because I believe in helping people. And when it came to my own family, I thought there was nothing more important than being there for them. Lisa and her husband Mike were constantly struggling with money. Every month there was a new problem, a new reason they needed help. And each time, they turned to me. It started small, covering their overdue bills, buying groceries when their refrigerator was empty. Then it escalated. When Mike's car broke down and they couldn't afford to fix it, I paid. When they were late with the rent again, I sent them the money. When they wanted a new place because their old place was too small and depressing, I bought them one. $90,000. My wife, Emily, tried to talk me out of it. "Frank, that's our savings," she said. "We have 2 kids. You can't just give that away." But I did. I told myself that Lisa would have done the same for me. That's what family is supposed to do. And every time she said, "Frank, I don't know what I'd do without you," it made me feel like I was doing the right thing. Then one night Lisa called. I had just finished a brutal shift at the hospital. I was exhausted, drained. She wanted me to come over. I said no, maybe for the first time ever. She sounded surprised, but didn't argue. "All right, I'll talk to you later." A few minutes passed, and then I noticed that my phone was still connected. She never hung up. At first I thought it was a mistake. Then I heard voices, laughter, glasses clinking. She was with people. And then I heard her say my name. "Oh my God, Frank," she scoffed. "Please. He was born a loser, and he's going to die a loser." Laughter. Not just hers, others too. "He thinks he's some kind of saint." She continued, like, "Oh wow, Frank, you pay my bills. You must be so important." What a joke. Someone else chimed in, a voice I recognized. Jason, one of my old enemies from high school. We had never gotten along. And for some reason, my sister was friends with him. "Yeah," Jason said. "Frank was always pathetic, trying to be the good guy. It's embarrassing." Lisa laughed. "But hey, as long as he keeps paying for everything, why should I stop him?" I sat and listened for 20 minutes. 20 minutes of insults. Of her and her so-called friends mocking me, tearing me apart. For years I thought I was being a good brother. I thought I was helping. I thought I was making a difference in their lives. But to them, I was just a joke. A free bank account. I stared at my phone, gripping it so tightly my hand began to hurt. My chest felt hollow. My face was hot. Then I hung up. I didn't call her back. I didn't yell. I didn't demand an explanation. I just sat there and thought about every time I had helped her, every dollar I had given her, every sacrifice I had made, and how she had wiped her feet on me like I was nothing. And for the first time in my life, I felt something I never thought I'd feel for my own sister. Hatred. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I just waited. And a few days later, she showed up at my house with Mike, as if nothing had happened. A few days went by, and I didn't say anything to Lisa. I didn't text her. I didn't call her. I barely talked to my wife, Emily, about it. I just kept replaying the conversation in my head over and over. Every word, every laugh. I wanted to believe that I had misheard, that maybe I had taken it out of context. But I knew what I heard. And the worst part? It wasn't even anger that hit me first. It was humiliation. I had spent years sacrificing for Lisa, putting her needs ahead of my own family, ahead of my own future. And all the while, she saw me as pathetic. Then, as always, she showed up unannounced. Lisa and Mike pulled into my driveway like they owned the place. No warning, no asking if we were home or busy. That was just the way they were. For years, they'd come over whenever they wanted, sit at our table, eat our food, and expect me to drop everything for them. And for years, I let them. Emily was the first to see them through the window. She sighed and looked at me. Are you going to say something? I shook my head. Not yet. I wasn't ready. I didn't even know what I wanted to say. The doorbell rang, and before I could even get up, Lisa and Mike came in as if they lived there. My son, Ethan, was in the living room playing video games. My daughter Sophie was in the kitchen with Emily. Lisa grinned as if nothing had happened. Hey, Frank. We were in the neighborhood, thought we'd stop by. Mike patted me on the shoulder. What's up, man? I nodded but said nothing. Lisa plopped down on the couch and scrolled through her phone. Man, I'm starving. Do you have anything to eat? Emily turned from the kitchen. Actually, we were just about to go out. Lisa barely looked up. Oh, where? Just a family dinner, Emily said. The four of us. Lisa frowned. You didn't invite us? Emily smiled, but there was no warmth in it. We didn't know you were coming. Lisa rolled her eyes as if we were the ones being rude. Whatever. We'll just hang out for a while. I stood there, watching them make themselves comfortable, acting like nothing had changed. Like I hadn't heard every horrible thing she said about me. And I realized this wasn't just the first time she'd talked about me that way. She had always seen me that way. It was like something inside of me broke. I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad. I was just done, so I didn't argue. I didn't tell her to leave. I just ignored her. When they spoke to me, I kept my answers short. When Lisa made a joke, I didn't laugh. And when she asked for food again, Emily simply said, "We're not cooking tonight." It was subtle, but Lisa and Mike sensed it. The energy was different. I wasn't playing along anymore. After about an hour of awkward small talk, Lisa stretched and yawned. All right, we should probably get going. Mike stood up. Yeah, man, let's get a beer soon. I just nodded. No handshake. No. Yeah, sounds good. Just silence. Lisa hesitated for a second. Maybe for the first time, she felt something was wrong. But she didn't say anything. When they left, Emily looked at me. You can't let them keep doing this. I exhaled slowly. I know. I wasn't going to. Not anymore. And then a month later, Lisa came back. Not to visit. Not to thank me. She needed money. Again. And this time I was ready. Lisa didn't come over for a month. She must have sensed something was wrong because the text started pouring in. Hey, haven't heard from you. Is everything okay? Let's have dinner soon. We miss you. Frank, why are you ignoring me? I ignored most of them. The ones I answered I kept short. No warmth. No energy. They didn't deserve it. Then one night my phone rang. Lisa. I stared at it debating. I knew exactly what it was. I could feel it. Against my better judgment, I answered it. Frank, hey. She chirped way too happy. How's my favorite brother? I didn't respond to the fake enthusiasm. What do you need, Lisa? A pause. Then a nervous laugh. Wow. Can't a sister just check in? I remained silent. She sighed. All right, fine. We need your help. Things have been tough. There it was. She went on, her voice dropping to that helpless tone she always used when she wanted something. Mike lost his job again. And well, we're behind on some bills. I almost laughed. Of course, Mike had lost his job. The man barely worked. Lisa continued. It's really bad this time, Frank. We're behind on the rent. We could lose the apartment I bought for her. I clenched my jaw. Lisa, I can't help you this time. Silence. Then an irritated laugh. Wait, what? I said I can help. You always help. Not anymore. There was a pause before she spoke again. And now there was an edge to her voice. Frank, you're a doctor. It's not like you can't afford it. I exhaled sharply. That's not the point. She laughed. But there was no humor in it. Oh my God, are you serious? You're just going to let your sister get kicked out. After all I've done for you. I almost dropped the phone. Everything she's done for me. I took a slow breath. Lisa, I heard you. She didn't say anything. That night when you accidentally called me and didn't hang up, I heard everything. You and your friends laughing at me, calling me a loser, saying I was pathetic. Still silence. Then she let out a breath and muttered, "Oh, for fuck's sake. Frank, that was nothing. You're really mad about that." I felt something inside me crack. "You're not even denying it," I said quietly. She moaned, "Jesus, Frank. We were drinking. It was a joke. It didn't mean anything." It meant something to me. Another silence. Then she changed tactics, her voice softer now, pretending to be hurt. "Frank, come on. You know I love you. You're my brother." "No, Lisa," I said. "I was your wallet. And now that the money is gone, you're playing the family card." She scoffed. "Oh, so what, you're cutting me off over one stupid conversation? After all I've been through, you're being dramatic." "No, I'm being realistic," I said. "I should have cut you off years ago." She started to argue, but I hung up. I stood there, hands shaking, head pounding. Emily walked in, took one look at my face, and said, "What happened?" "She needs money." I mumbled. Emily sighed, and I told her no. Emily exhaled in relief. Good. But it wasn't over. The next day, Lisa and Mike showed up at my house. And they weren't alone. The next evening, as the sun was setting, I heard a car pull into my driveway. I looked out the window and felt my stomach tighten. Lisa and Mike. And they weren't alone. Jason was with them. Jason, the same guy from the phone call. The same guy who had laughed at me for being pathetic. The same guy who bullied me in high school, shoving me into lockers, mocking me in front of girls, spreading rumors about me. What the hell was he doing here? Emily came up behind me. "What is she doing?" "I don't know," I said, but I had a bad feeling. The doorbell rang. I didn't move. Then, before I could decide what to do, Lisa banged on the door. "Frank, I know you're home. Open up." Emily crossed her arms. "Don't do it." I wanted to listen to her. I should have listened, but something was boiling inside of me. Lisa bringing Jason here wasn't an accident. She was trying to intimidate me to make me feel small again. I wasn't that kid anymore. So I opened the door. Lisa was standing there with a fake tight lip smile. Mike was standing behind her, arms crossed, looking pissed. And Jason, he was grinning like it was a joke. "Hey, little Frankie." Jason grinned. "Been a long time." I ignored him and looked directly at Lisa. "Why is he here?" Lisa rolled her eyes. "Relax, it's no big deal. We were just talking and Jason said he should come along to help, mediate things." "Mediate?" I repeated. Lisa sighed, like I was wearing her out. "Frank, look, I get it. You're angry about what you think you heard. But you're family. I need you right now. We're in serious trouble." I leaned against the doorframe. "That's not my problem." Her eyes narrowed. "Wow, so that's it? You're really just going to cut me off?" I nodded. "Yeah, I am." Mike, who had been silent the whole time, suddenly stepped forward. "You're a selfish piece of shit, Frank." I raised an eyebrow. "Selfish?" Jason snorted. "Yeah, Frankie, come on. You're loaded and your own sister is struggling. What kind of brother are you?" I looked at all three of them and let out a short laugh. You know what's funny? If I had said yes, if I had given Lisa more money, you guys would still be calling me a loser behind my back. Lisa groaned. "Frank, stop. You're making a bigger deal out of this than it is." I shook my head. "No, I'm just tired of being a jerk." Jason chuckled and muttered, "Always so dramatic." I turned to him. "And you used to make my life hell. Now you show up at my house trying to make me feel guilty." I stepped forward and lowered my voice. "Get the hell off my property." Jason's smirk faded. Lisa scoffed. "Jesus, Frank, you're really kicking us out." I crossed my arms. "You were never invited." Mike muttered something under his breath, then grabbed Lisa's arm. "Forget him. He's a lost cause." Lisa shook him off. "No, Frank, I beg you. This isn't just about me. My kids, Dash. They'll be fine." I cut in. "I help your oldest get through college. And I know for a fact that your youngest still talks to mom and dad. If they need help, they'll go to them. Not you." She blinked, stunned. I continued. I didn't cut off your children, Lisa. I cut you off. For the first time, she had nothing to say. Jason sighed dramatically. This has been a waste of time. He turned and walked to the car. Mike followed. Lisa stood there for another moment, as if she wanted to say something. Then she finally turned and left. I closed the door behind her. Emily came up still tense. That was worse than I thought. I nodded. She's not done. And I was right. Because a few days later, Lisa did something I never thought she'd do. She turned our parents against me. I knew Lisa wasn't done. She never accepted defeat. A few days after she showed up at my house with Jason and Mike, my mom called. "Frank," she said, her voice tense. "What's going on between you and Lisa?" I sighed. "What did she tell you?" "She said you refused to help her when she and Mike were on the verge of losing their home. She said you turned your back on family." I pinched the bridge of my nose. "Did she say anything else?" Mom hesitated. "She said you were acting strange. That Emily is trying to keep you away from the family." Of course. That was Lisa's move. Paint me as the bad guy. Throw Emily under the bus. Make herself look like the helpless victim. I had planned to keep this between Lisa and me. I didn't want to drag our parents into it. But now she had forced my hand. I took a breath. "Mom, I need you to listen to me carefully. There's something you don't know." And then I told her everything. The 5 years of financial support, the apartment, the car repairs, the education bills, the groceries, the utilities, the endless cycle of Lisa needing and me giving. Then I told her about the phone call, how Lisa had forgotten to hang up, how I had sat there listening to my own sister trash me in front of Jason and others, how she laughed about me, called me a loser. By the time I finished, there was complete silence on the other end. Then Mom exhaled sharply. "Oh my God, I didn't want to tell you," I admitted. "But she's trying to turn you against me." I had to. Mom's voice was cold now, something I had rarely heard from her. And after all that, she still had the nerve to ask for money. Yes. There was another pause, then a muttered, "Unbelievable." I could hear Dad in the background. "What's going on?" Mom must have put me on speaker because she started explaining everything. As she spoke, I heard Dad's breathing change. He was getting angrier by the second. When she finished, he growled that ungrateful little. He cut himself off, probably trying to keep his temper in check. Then, to my complete shock, he said, "Frank, don't give her another goddamn cent." I blinked. Dad had always been the keep the peace type. But this was different. "She's taken advantage of you for too long," he continued. "And now she's trying to make you the bad guy." No, that's not happening. I swallowed. "Thanks, Dad." Mom sighed. "She's not going to like this. You know how she is." "I don't care." I said she made her choice. And she did. Because when Lisa found out I had told our parents the truth, all hell broke loose. She blew up my phone with texts and calls. I ignored them. Then she texted in the family group chat. "Lisa, wow, Frank, you just couldn't keep your mouth shut. Could you? You turned Mom and Dad against me. I hope you're happy." No one responded. Then an hour later, I got a call from her oldest son. I hesitated but answered. "Hey man, Uncle Frank," he said. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything my mom did to you." I closed my eyes, exhaling. "You don't have to apologize for her. She's been acting crazy since your parents confronted her. Yelling, blaming everyone but herself. I just want you to know I don't support what she did. And neither does my brother." That was all I needed to hear. Lisa had officially lost everything. She had burned every bridge. And for the first time in years, I felt free. I thought it was over. Lisa had lost me. She had lost our parents. Even her own kids were siding with her. But she wasn't done. A week after my parents cut her off, Emily and I were out grocery shopping when I got a call from an unknown number. I usually don't answer those, but something told me to pick up. "Frank," a voice slurred on the other end. "Mike, what do you want?" I asked. "You think you're better than us?" He spat. You think you can just cut us off and we'll disappear? I sighed. Mike, I'm not doing this with you. Oh, you'll do this, he said. Because you owe us. I laughed. Oh, you for what? For everything. His voice was getting louder. Lisa took care of you when you were younger. She was always there for you. And now when she needs you the most, you abandon her. I rolled my eyes. She used me, Mike. There's a difference. There was a pause. Then he sneered. You're going to regret this. And he hung up. I didn't think much of it. Just another tantrum. But 2 days later, someone slashed the tires on my wife's car. Emily found it in the morning for flat tires. Then the day after that, someone egged our front door. It was obvious. Lisa and Mike were trying to get back at me in the pettiest ways possible. But the final straw came when my boss at the hospital called me into his office. I sat down confused. Something wrong? He folded his hands. Frank, we received an anonymous complaint about you. Multiple complaints, actually. My stomach dropped. What? They accuse you of unethical behavior, taking bribes, mistreating patients. He sighed. We know it's nonsense, but we have to file a report and go through the motions. I just wanted to give you a heads up. I clenched my jaw. Lisa, she and Mike were trying to destroy my career. I took a deep breath and nodded. I appreciate you telling me. When I got home, I told Emily everything. She stared at me, then said, That's it. We're going to the police. I hesitated. It won't prove anything. She shook her head. They slashed my tires. They vandalized our house. They're trying to ruin your job. We're not letting them get away with this. So we did. We filed a police report for the vandalism. I had security cameras installed, and I made sure Lisa and Mike knew it. 2 days later, I sent Lisa a final message. If you or Mike come near my home, my family, or my workplace again, I will press charges. You are officially cut off. You have no one left to manipulate. Good luck. She didn't respond. But I heard through my parents that Lisa and Mike were struggling badly, with no money, no help, and no one left to bail them out. They were drowning in debt, and no one cared. She did this to herself. And for the first time in my life, I felt absolutely nothing for her. No guilt, no sadness, just peace.